Hello there, and welcome back to the channel. When we're learning a new language, especially when we need to learn it to live in a new country, like I have with Spanish, we try our best not to make mistakes. Well, we don't like to make mistakes. And the thing is, because we don't like to make mistakes, we don't really speak as much of the language as we really should, because we're frightened of making mistakes. And it kind of limits us sometimes because we're kind of afraid to speak. I found this with many of my students who are and have been learning English. They hate to make mistakes. But this only really happens, this fear of making mistakes, when we are all grown up and we've become adults. We don't like to make mistakes. I think it's because we feel as though we're being judged, that we're making mistakes, and that's why we just don't like to make mistakes, and then it limits us in what we want to say. I think if you maybe think in the way that a child learns things, then you tend to be a little more relaxed about a language, because a child will make mistakes. Children always do in whatever they are learning, because it's part of the learning process. They make mistakes. They learn by their mistakes. So why don't we think in the same way that a child does? Maybe then we'd be more freer in learning the language and speaking the language too. Whenever I go to the supermarket and over to the checkout, usually checkout number 20, I like to chat with the lady there, because you can't really be chatting to a robot in the self-checkout, can you? Anyway, the lady on checkout 20, which I always tend to choose, I don't know why. Maybe it's the first one I come to which has a real person. And all the time there, while I've been chatting to her, she's never yet corrected me that I use maybe L instead of la and vice versa. I remember her and others that I've been to in other checkouts say to me, "No eres americano, ¿verdad?" I replied, "No, okay." It's okay, usted es hablando en español. So it seems Americans don't speak Spanish when they visit the supermarket. Well, certainly in Soriano. And it's nice when you doubt yourself sometimes and you're at the checkout with the lady on number 20 and she says to you, "Usted habla español muy bien." Maybe she's just being kind. My way of looking at language acquisition is that you should always make mistakes, as you tend to learn quite a lot from those little mistakes, sometimes silly mistakes, funny mistakes, and others. And I've had many a funny slip-up at times. I always remember being in a restaurant. I don't think it was here in Monterey. It could have been in Puebla or maybe in Toluca. I can't really remember. Anyway, we were sitting in this restaurant and my wife asked, "So, what are you going to have?" I opened the menu, pointed to what I had chosen, and I said, "These." "You're going to have those?" "Yes." "Are you sure?" "Yes." "You mean you're really going to order those?" And in a kind of irritated way, I said, "Yes, that's what I'm going to order." "Really?" "Yes, I love duck." "My dear, that isn't duck." Somehow, I had this idea, or was it logic, that in Spanish there was a masculine and feminine, of everything. Therefore, I assumed that as pato is duck and is a masculine word, noun, then pata was obviously a female duck. It turns out that pata are pig's trotters, pig's feet, or manitas as they're sometimes called here. So after my wife explained this little detail to me about masculine and feminine, I decided, I'll just go for the courgette flour quesadillas after all. Since then, I haven't made the same mistake, although I would like to try pata de puerco sometime. So I've never tried them. Actually, in the UK, I've never tried pig's trotters either. I wonder what they're like. As of yet, I've not seen duck on a menu either. Maybe I should get both pata and pato if I see them both on a menu somewhere in Monterey. So, make mistakes and laugh about them. I know I have at many a time. Thank you for watching. Bye for now. Stay safe. See you soon. Bye.